All right, hey everyone. Thanks for joining our Fireside Chat today. My name is Matt Kuo, and I'm the Chief Product Officer at Compliance and Risks. And today we are joined by the VF Corporation, Frank, Ben, and Trin, all part of the product stewardship team at VF Corporation. So why don't we go around and do a round of introductions? Frank, do you want to go first?
Yes, I'd like to go first. Welcome, everybody. My name is Frank Kopdenakker. I'm heading the Product Stewardship and Sustainability Department for VF Corporation. I'm based out of Belgium, and our department is involved with everything that involves regulatory compliance, which means restricted substances list, product safety, chemical screening, chemical compliance, and product labeling compliance.
Awesome, great. Ben, how about you next?
Yeah, hello everyone. This is Ben Pearson, Product Stewardship Manager for VF in the EMEA region, and I'm based in Stabio, Switzerland.
Okay, wonderful. Trin, how about you?
Yeah, my name is Jin Do, and I'm Senior Product Labeling Specialist who based in Vietnam, and my main responsibility about the labeling compliance for all VF products and brands.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Well, Trin, why don't you tell us a little bit more about VF Corporation's vision and mission and how the product stewardship team helps achieve that vision and mission for the company?
Yeah, okay. VF Corporations is a global leader in the brand lifestyle apparel, footwear, and accessory. We own multiple well-known brands such as The North Face, Vans, Timberland, and more. With actions and progress at the core of VF business, our product stewardship programs help facilitate ongoing dialogue with our suppliers and other third parties involved in our supply chains. We maintain a diligent focus on product compliance, especially labeling compliance, using various strategy, program, resource. Our goal is to create safe, responsible, and correct label product, both for consumers and our planet.
Wow, that's incredible. That's a lot of brands, and I can imagine that it's really challenging to manage compliance across that entire portfolio. Could you tell us a little bit about how your team's could you tell us a little bit about how what your team's typical compliance challenges are prior to using the CLR solution?
I think one of the biggest challenges that our organization face with global labeling is the frequencies with which regulation changes across different markets. This can make it difficult to keep up with and manage the immense variabilities in labeling for global supply chains. Finding a most accurate regulatory resource, understanding how the requirements apply to our business, and what proper action needs to be taken are crucial focus point to us. Therefore, we try to develop an internal guidance and information that we can release the information to the correct stakeholder within our organizations to make sure that our product labeling can be compliant.
Got it. That's incredible. Could you talk a little bit about how the CLR solution has changed your approach to achieving labeling compliance?
Where previous a global network of internal and external labeling specialists were required to assure our product were labeled in compliance with all relevant laws, we currently can rely on the centralized source of regulatory labeling information for all product categories. Through the CNR database tool, we do not only have the direct access to the global regulatory information, but the tool also has an integrated warning mechanisms for upcoming regulatory change, allowing us to be proactive to any possible regulatory change for the product categories and markets we focus on, while saving costs and be more efficiency. Besides, the CNL database also provide an Ask Our Expert features, which is very important to us. Having access to the regulatory information is one thing. The interpretations of it is something different. Via the features, we can get the clarifications, advice, and other additional information within a short time.
Thanks, Trent. I mean, labeling, it sounds like it's such a complicated problem and job that you have to do. So thank you for sharing your insights on that. Ben, I would love to hear from you. Could you tell us a little bit more about your approach to achieving labeling compliance?
Sure. So there's a lot of things that we have to do in order to get to the end result, which is a product that is labeled correctly. So first off, we need to be constantly monitoring regulatory updates. And we do that through various channels, various newsletters, but through having the CLR membership and obviously the WFSGI as well, in partnership with other industry bodies. But through these memberships, we get the latest information, and we know that there's a centralized resource that we can go to get that. With that information, that allows us to, on an ongoing basis, maintain our labeling manual, our internal labeling manual, and other resources which help to support the teams within our organization and provide effectively comprehensive internal guidance on the specific labeling requirements that apply to our organization and our product types and in the markets that we operate. From there, we organize training sessions, both with the internal and external stakeholders, and we're working mainly with sourcing, product teams, and then external vendors. So it's important for us as a product stewardship team to have a very close partnership and continuing collaboration with product development teams, material sourcing, anyone working with trims, but also people like the customs department and other internal teams alongside the external vendors and suppliers that are supplying materials and labeling to us. So through things like the monthly CLR report, which has information relating to the labeling database, as well as other subscriptions, that allows us to have this information, stay up to date with the upcoming and current regulations. And then the final piece in the puzzle is to do verification work, starting from looking at layout designs and then finishing with actually checking physical labels on products with support from our quality teams as well.
Got it. So it sounds like quite a effort across not only internal but also external teams. I can imagine anybody listening to this Fireside Chat would be really interested to, get your advice on, what are some best practices or just good things to follow when you're tackling these compliance challenges.
Absolutely. Okay, so first thing I'd say is figure out who your stakeholders are and engage them. So internal and external, not just potentially a supplier, but also agencies which can help provide you information and get you to the stage where you can provide advice. So if we think about a challenge where you need to update a product according to a new regulation, what you need to be able to do is to deliver a very clear message on what the challenge is, say why it's important, and then confirm what action is needed to be taken. So for example, the message is there's a new regulation. It's important because if we don't comply with this, then we could face penalties from a set time period. And then the action is needed. Okay, this is the update that is required to be made on our products. When you're doing that kind of communication or you're running a project like that, you need to try and anticipate what the questions might be from anyone you're working with and what their concerns might be, what their challenges, but also expect to receive additional questions which you wouldn't have thought of. So you need to be able to think on your feet a bit. And then finally, when relaying information, don't make it up on the spot. Try and stick to the legal framework that has been confirmed or from advice from trusted third parties who've done the analysis and are providing advice to you on the basis of your product type and the markets that you're in.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And it definitely sounds like you've got a lot of experience going through this probably multiple times now. So thank you for that insight. Trin, you've also been really involved in this. Do you have, what are your top 3 compliance best practices from your point of view?
Actually, if talking about the compliance best practice, there will be 2 aspects. The first aspect is about the product level. It's also what I get when using the CNR tool, that in order to label your product correctly, there's 3 main highlights that you need to identify from the very beginning. The first thing is that you need to identify your product category and the target markets that you want to sell your product. it will have to determine the correct and applicable regulations. The second thing is you need to advise or confirm if there any special material or functional claims on your products. And lastly, you need to ensure that there's a completeness of information such as compositions, care, and that proper language are disclosed on the label that can cover your target markets. And language recommendations you can easily find from the CNR database. The second aspect is about the organization level. There's also three main points. The first thing is that you need to take a structured approach to the labeling with the central points of contact and guidance documents. The second thing is that you need to establish the network within the organizations responsible for the implementations of guidance and updates. And lastly, you need to provide a regular training to appropriate stakeholder, ensuring that the implementations of the requirements. So that's our advice.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that insight. It definitely sounds like there's a lot of different aspects to consider. You know, one of the themes that I'm picking up on throughout this conversation is that really it's understanding your stakeholders and communication. Communication is key to ensure that you have successful plans across the business and that everybody's kind of on the same page. So that's really helpful. Thank you. Frank, we did not forget about you. What do you see as some of the key challenges in your industry going forward?
Well, Matt, you said it right, challenges. One of the biggest challenges I foresee is the continuously increasing demand for more and more information around products and packaging we need to provide. We currently see a wild growth of regulatory requirements in various parts of the world. If we look, for instance, only at Europe, very recently, I don't know if you know that, the EU published kind of a proposal for the eco design for sustainable product regulation. They want to make a kind of a framework to set a number of eco design requirements for specific groups of products and building further out the existing eco design directive, which currently covers only energy related products. So they want to expand that. Now, as such, this is a fantastic initiative, and it's intended to improve the circularity of the EU products, their energy performance, environmental aspect of our products. Fine, all things we can do nothing more than welcoming. But at the same time, it creates a lot of challenges for us because these things take quite some time to implement in our supply chain. And especially an industry like ours, like footwear and apparel, where seasonal collections are planned quite a lot, sometimes a year in advance, it's very challenging if a regulation takes place now when we've been working on that collection the past year. Another challenge what we see is that we currently are required to closely follow up every upcoming regulation as they first come as proposals, and we need to provide as an industry our input on these proposals. We need to assure that these regulatory asks or these future regulatory asks remain reasonable and executable. And as footwear and apparel chains are rather vast and complex, products themselves being made from multiple components, coming from various suppliers across the globe, it's quite challenging. And give you an example. One of the regulatory asks might be, for instance, the creation of a digital product passport for a single textile product. And that can become very challenging, as this passport could be required to contain information, for instance, on possible substances of concern. Are these present in your product? Are these present in each of the components of your product? And so, you know, if we have a lot of products and a lot of products containing multiple components, each of them on which we need to provide information on hundreds of substances, is going to be quite challenging to manage all the data. And I'm only talking here about substances of control, substance of concern here. I'm not talking about information on country of origin. Some countries are thinking of asking information on where is your product produced, but not only your product, the separate parts like the textile used in our product or the different textiles, where are they coming from, where are they dyed? So all that information is very challenging to provide. And I've only been talking about the European requirements. Europe has a lot of member states, and quite a few of them that are trying to run ahead of Europe, like France, for instance, Italy, for instance. France with its EJEC law on a digital product passport. They're going to already implement things next year. That is 2 years ahead of Europe. They already have waste tax declarations on products, also running ahead of Europe, because Europe only has it for packaging. Italy having separate requirements on product labeling. So all these different national requirements, it's very difficult for us to follow up. We need a kind of a harmonized approach. And the last thing, a lot of footwear and apparel companies like ourselves are global companies. Even more challenges there, because what is allowed maybe in one region is not allowed in another region. So challenges, we have plenty of them.
Yeah, and it sounds like, between the different regions and the different regulations that are coming out, it's just compounding complexity. And so, that's just an ever increasing challenge. But I also believe it's a major opportunity for product compliance and stewardship teams. And so, do you have any insight, or how do you feel product compliance and stewardship teams can actually become a strategic advantage for VF Corporation?
Well, as I see it, for me, compliance and product stewardship teams are actually the ones responsible for drawing the lines within which a brand needs to walk and between which an operational team needs to operate. This to assure that the products that are developed and made are fully compliant to all applicable laws and regulatory requirements. So product stewardship, as Ben already mentioned, and compliance team, we set the standards, we provide the training, we work on the implementation and are responsible for the validation. They give, so to say, these things, they give credibility to the brand and the brand products. They're a valuable resource for the business and providing assurance to it and to its customers and the regulators. For me, it's a strategic advantage to have a strong and effective product stewardship and compliance team, as it secures both the business and the brand reputation.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with that. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much, Frank, Ben, and Trin, for participating in this quick fireside chat. We're really happy to be working with VF Corporation, and we look forward to continuing to partner with you on delivering against your company vision and mission. So thanks for taking the time today to talk with us, and we will see everyone later.
Thank you. More than welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.